Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2 was a fun and grand epic, but not without its faults. This is a direct sequel to the first Gladiator, and in my opinion, a damn good one. I'm not going to lie and say that I was excited for this film. Honestly, my first reaction was, do we really need this? And after watching it, I can confidently say that I don't think we needed it, but boy am I glad we got it. The absolute scale of this film is wild. Whatever magic Ridley Scott had with the first Gladiator, he sure brought some along with its sequel. I can go on talking about how cool and amazing the fights were, and they were, but I had some issues with them on a technical level. Just to start off, I'm not a fan of the stereotypical Hollywood punch sounds. It's not going to ruin the movie for me, but in most cases, it leaves me wanting more. And what I mean by wanting more is that a sound effect can hold a lot of emotional weight to it. I personally feel the true slaps and thuds of a physical altercation, along with the audience screaming in the background, would have made much more of an impact. This criticism specifically goes towards the scene where Lucius, played by Paul Mescal, is fighting Acacius, played by Pedro Pascal. Like I said earlier, it's not a huge issue. There's just something funny about the sound that takes me out for a bit to chuckle when I hear it. I don't think I have much more to say about this movie on the technical side. The cinematography was alright, the coolest and most unique, and I use that word lightly, sequences are the close-ups of Lucius during his dreams and the pans around the city. Funny I say this because just recently, Ridley Scott's cinematographer, John Mathieson, went on a podcast complaining about how the film was shot, focusing more on being able to just get everyone in frame instead of allowing for more dynamic and potentially impactful shots. Besides the OKCG, my last note regarding the technical aspects of the film was the lighting. I won't lie, it doesn't take a lot to impress me with lighting, but it also doesn't take a lot to disappoint. And personally, I thought the lighting in the film was okay. Most of the daytime shots were just that, daytime shots. They were decently lit, and they made the location feel more dry, I guess, if that's what they were going for. With all my technical comments out of the way, where this film really shines the brightest is the story and its actors. Well, specifically the story revolving around Denzel Washington's character, but we'll get around that later. I wanted to start off by saying Lucius's main plot was just fine. I didn't see much wrong with it. I thought Paul Mescal brought a great energy to his character and the story. I believed almost every second that this was a man fighting not just for his freedom, but for the freedom of Rome. There was one scene though in particular where Paul Mescal's character is giving a speech to a large group of gladiators, and I thought his delivery was really weak. He was very stoic in the speech, which works for some parts, but not all. Parts of the speech that are supposed to get the gladiators' blood pumping and riled up just feels like a go-get-'em Little League speech. I think it's kind of funny that I'm calling this out, because another instance where Lucius is speaking to two large armies, the stoicism and calmness in his voice really works. He's not trying to fully fire those soldiers up for battle, but for a change in their world and life views. Lucius is putting hope into their hearts and minds of a more free and fair Rome. Besides that, I thought Paul Mescal did a fine job. I definitely need to see other films he's in so that I can truly feel what I think about his performance. I thought Pedro Pascal was good. And I mean this in the most positive way, but it was Pedro Pascal. There's nothing more to it. Joseph Quinn and Fred Hechinger, who played the Emperors, were really fun. Their characters are crazy, yes, but still somewhat unique. Their goals and the reasons behind them are different from Commodus, sort of, from the first Gladiator. Quinn and Hechinger could have easily just acted like Joaquin Phoenix's Commodus from the original, but what they did with the characters was a bit different and unique, as I said. And yes, there might be some parallels. But I think that what those two actors brought to these characters fleshed them out in such a way that I didn't feel like I was just watching a pasted image of Commodus. Out of the two though, Fred Hechinger was probably my favorite. Every line delivered by him was just fantastic and fitting for the character. He was very slimy. It was also fun watching him play this immature yet clearly crazy emperor. My final thoughts on the story is that the entire B-plot with Denzel Washington's character Macrinus was probably the best and most badass. It doesn't help that Denzel is probably the most experienced actor in this film, and it shows. It's not even his main performance that I'm focused on, although it was amazing, but all the little subtle things he does throughout the film. All his little smirks and laughs when he's watching something unfold. The audience can see that this man has something cooking in his mind, and we just don't know what exactly. Macrinus slowly coming into power behind the scenes and forcing the hand of so many politicians is just honestly my favorite angle of the film, and was a great addition to the story, especially for such an important political empire. With all that being said, I'm giving this film a 3 out of 5. It might be closer to a 2.5, but the performances and the story around Denzel's character makes up for some of the technical issues I had. Of course, I highly recommend you go see this for yourself, form your own opinion, and come back and tell me that I'm wrong.